We are here at the end of October, and that means sectional play is right around the corner. I'm Logan Huntlix. We're joined by Josh Ayen and Darrell Morton Jr., Mr. DMJ. And the MIC has come to an end. The regular season is done as we get ready for the playoffs. And, of course, we have to talk about the 4 teams that won the MIC conference in the regular season. The Carmel Greyhounds, the Ben Davis Giants, the North Central Panthers, and the Warren Central Warriors. It's a 4-way tie. You love to see it. First time ever. First off, we're going to get into the Carmel Greyhounds, the team that's going to be starting out in Sectional 4. They're going to go on the road against Hamilton Southeastern. Going to be a tough matchup up there in the Sectional 4 bracket. Josh, I know you've seen firsthand how the Carmel Greyhounds play. What can we expect?
Well, Logan, with Carmel, their offense has really been reinvigorated thanks to Aaron Hahn, the offensive coordinator, and especially with this new quarterback that they have in play, Christian Williams. He's not necessarily a new guy to the system. He's been with this program for the last year or so, but with him as a quarterback, it just brings a new dynamic to this offense. They've been running a lot of more zone read schemes, a lot more play action, a lot of stuff like that, and really this offense, it just seems, again, just reinvigorated. The running game has just been a lot better too with Dylan Downing. It seems like he's found his footing again, and I would be remiss to talk about Carmel and their defense too, because that defense, they've just picked up right where they left off from last year, led by guys like Ty Wise, Dominic Pageant, Cole Brevard, all those guys. They create a solid foundation for this Greyhounds group.
Absolutely. And Darrell, I know last week we saw the Carmel Greyhounds. They took down Lawrence Central, secured themselves a spot in that 4-way tie for the MIC championship. Josh kind of touched on that defense. What did you like from that side of the ball?
Well, again, the defense was all over the place. They did a great job shutting down, a young quarterback. You're going to have that. He's just a freshman there. He's going to be a star down the road. But, again, Carmel looked tough on the defensive side of the football.
Well, it's been 6 straight sectional wins now for the Carmel Greyhounds. Like we said, they have to go to Hamilton Southeastern, a team that is 5-4 out of the Hoosier Crossroads Conference. And on the other side, you have Fishers and Westfield. Do we like Carmel coming out of this sectional, guys? We'll start out with you, Josh.
It's going to be a lot more difficult of a sectional. Typically Carmel has come away with that sectional. They've been fortunate every single year to host that sectional championship. Just saying out of coincidence there, but man, they've got a tough challenge, like you said, against Hamilton Southeastern. Adam Morris has done a really good job rebuilding that program in his second year. And on the flip side, you got Fishers. I feel like they're a really good underdog within that group. They got a really strong defense led by Jeffrey Brown. So it's going to be a tough challenge, but I definitely see Carmel coming out of this.
Absolutely. You like Carmel as well?
Without a doubt. I think they shored up the quarterback position. We saw that last week in Williams. I think Carmel is going to walk out of that pretty easily.
All right, so we have the Greyhounds coming out of Sectional 4 here from the MIC Network experts. Next, we move down to Sectional 5. We're into the top side of the Southern Division here in Class 6A, and that is where the Pike Red Devils will take flight as they're going to take on Zionsville High School, a team that they have a lot of plenty of time together. We've seen them already in the first game of the season where there was a lot of familiarity between those two teams.
Well, Etch got an opportunity to go back home. He gets to do it again here, but there's a lot more on the line this time. I think Pike has grown as a team. The defense played well the entire season for the most part. Maybe a few games that get blown out. That's because they were on the field so long. Seidella has gotten better as the season progressed, so I think Pike has an excellent opportunity to go in there and get a win.
Absolutely. In Zionsville, 3-6. Pike Red Devils 1-8. What do you like here from the Red Devils, a team that's been building all year long?
Yeah, and like you said, Darrell, that defense has been that calling card throughout the entire course of this season. But offensively, you got some guys that have really stepped up. Like you said, Seidella has really grown as a quarterback. I feel like his best days are still ahead of him as a passer next season. Then, meanwhile, you got some strong receivers in Lamar Eccles, Xavier Simpson. Yep. Those two have provided a nice foundation at the receiver position. So it's going to be a tough challenge against Zionsville. I see this playing out differently than how it did back in Week 1.
Absolutely. That was a win for Zionsville in Week 1. And this is a sectional here that Pike looking to get out of sectional for the first time since 2013 as well. They had the work cut out for them because on the other side of that bracket, you have the number 1 team in the state, the Avon Orioles, undefeated, taking on Brownsburg. That's a toss-up game in itself. But what do you guys think the Pike Red Devils can do here in this sectional? We'll start here with you, Darrell.
Well, I like to go out on the limb here. I think Pike gets through Zionsville, and if Pike faces Brownsburg, if they knock off Avon, I think Pike has an excellent chance to knock off the Bulldogs.
Well, there you go. Looking for a big upset over here, Darrell.
Big outtake over here, Darrell. My goodness. Oh, man. I'll be a bit more realistic. Pike, I think they can pull off this win against Zionsville. It's going to be very difficult, but I think it's very possible. But if they do come out of that game against Zionsville, I see Avon coming out of it. If not Brownsburg, but Avon or Brownsburg, I see one of those two teams coming out of the sectional.
We'll see. Sectional 5 up for grab. The Pike Red Devils looking to bring home, like I said, their first sectional title since 2013. Next, we take a look at Sectional 6. That's where the Ben Davis Giants slide right in. They're going to be taking on Perry Meridian at home, a team that has not won a game yet. This is a sectional that we believe Ben Davis should come out of, especially riding all the momentum coming in here on that 4-way tie for the MIC championship.
Yeah, these Giants, I mean, with this sectional, it's pretty much theirs to lose. And we saw how much they have grown throughout the course of this season. They got off to that 1-4 start. You know, they lost to, they did lose to Avon. They lost to Brownsburg, lost an ugly game to Center Grove. But if you look at their head-to-head against the other co-champions in the MIC this year, they beat all 3 of them. They beat Carmel, they beat North Central, they beat Warren Central. And really, in all 3 of those games, they looked really good in all of those. And they still made mistakes in all of those, too, and they were able to overcome them. So if Ben Davis can find a way to put together the perfect game, I really think they're going to be a strong contender to not just come out of the sectional, but be a state title contender, too.
Absolutely. Maybe a dark horse for the state title. Darrell?
Well, I think Ben Davis, you know, we kind of saw him after before they beat Pike. We were at a practice, and the coaching staffs talked about just winning the next game and winning the next game. And I tell you what, they did that. They got a lot better. They finally found an identity. So Ben Davis scares me. I'm not sure what that team is, but I tell you what, like Josh said, they can actually make a deep run.
So the Giants 5-4 at the end of the season. They're going to be hosting Perry Meridian. On the other side of the bracket, though, you have Tech and Southport. Maybe Southport can offer the most resistance out of those 2 teams.
I could see Southport offering some difficult challenges, but just looking at their strength of schedule this year, they haven't played as many quality teams compared to Ben Davis. I mean, we've talked about it throughout the course of this season. The MIC has offered a lot more parity. There hasn't been as much of a runaway team. But still, the quality of competition in the MIC is definitely a lot stronger, and especially when you compare it to some of the opponents that Southport has played this season.
Absolutely. Next, we take a look at Sectional 7, where it's loaded with MIC schools. All 4 teams are from the MIC. First game we're going to look at is Lawrence Central on the road against Lawrence North, a rematch from a game that happened week 3 at Lucas Oil Stadium, where the Bears took down the Wildcats 41-31. Darrell, run us through this game. I mean, it's a battle for the Lawrence Township again.
Well, and that's the thing again and again. We see this matchup. You know, Jason Graves has been out. He's been hurt, but I'm sure he'll be back in this game. We don't know it for sure yet, but I'm pretty sure he will. He's a senior. I just see him coming back, getting his footing underneath him, and he's going to lead the Bears over the Wildcats.
I said the Bears had a big win against Ben Davis just a couple weeks ago. Really kind of upset them on the road. Got their second win in the MIC, kind of riding a little bit of momentum.
Well, that's a big point you bring up, Logan, because in that game, Lawrence Central collected 6 turnovers on the defensive end. And if they're going to make any sort of run in this tournament, they're going to have to rely on their defense. And I feel like they have the pieces to do it. You've got Devon Rayner, the Northern Illinois commit. You have Davier Farrow, really solid defensive end that's been there for a few years. And in the secondary, you got John Lewis and Kimani Allen, 2 really solid guys, too. So if Lawrence Central is going to beat LN and whoever the winner of North Central and Warren Central is, it's going to have to be through their defense.
Well, last year these 2 teams met in the first round of sectionals. Lawrence Central won 27-20. We'll run it back this time around, and Lawrence North hasn't made it out of the sectionals since 1990. Lawrence North looking to make that happen this year, and a team that's loaded with talent. We'll take a look at the bottom side of that bracket now with Warren Central and North Central. The Warriors and North Central both were co-champions in the MIC, and this was a game that we saw early on in the season where the Warriors won 28-7, and a game that we saw last year in regionals that was full of highlight plays. David Bell finally sealing it for the Warriors. Is this the year that the Panthers can get over the Warren Central Warrior hump?
You know what? I would like to think so, but a lot of times when you got a team that, like Warren has been there, they are defending champions, you go in and you're playing against all that, the mistakes. So I'm not sure if North Central can get over the hump here.
I'm going to disagree with you, Darrell. I think North Central has what it takes. I mean, you just look at winning football in October and November. To be able to go on a state title run, you need to have the quality fundamentals of running the football and stopping the run. And Warren Central, you know, as talented as they are, they've been able to rely on the big play throughout this season, but their running game has been really shaky throughout this season. I've been kind of disappointed in R.J. Wells and his performance. You know, he's had good moments, but just the running game, they haven't been able to rely on it as they have in the past. So if North Central could stop this running game against Warren Central, force Kobe Moore to win it through his arm, I really think that puts the Panthers in a good spot on Friday night in this sectional semifinal.
Well, the Panthers got their first sectional championship last year since 1993, but the Warren Central Warriors have a nice little run of their own. They've gotten out of sectionals 5 of the last 6 years. They've only missed a sectional championship 1 year under the realm of Coach West. Guys, who do we like getting out of this loaded sectional 7 class? We'll start with you, Josh.
Well, you guys already heard my thoughts. I think North Central is going to be the one that comes out of this. It's going to be a tight ball game. It's going to be really tough against Warren Central, but I think North Central has what it takes. And then on the flip side, I think LC is going to come out of that game against Lawrence North. Until Lawrence North can prove me otherwise, I'm going to keep picking Lawrence Central over Lawrence North. So I'll go with the Bears in that game, and then I'll pick the Panthers to win in a tight ball game against the Bears.
Darrell?
I got the Bears over the Wildcats. That's an easy pick for me. But when I look at the Panthers and the Warriors, Warren Central is the champions until they get beat. They won't get beat that night.
Well, there you go. Sectional 7 locked up there. Next, we move on to Sectional 8, the final sectional in this 6A class, and that is where you will find the Center Grove Trojans, as they're going to be taking on Columbus East, the Olympians, a team that not a lot of teams know about. They've had their run-ins with New Pal down in the 5A class and the 4A classes before that. They've worked their way back up to 6A, and this is not a runaway game for the Center Grove Trojans, Josh.
It really is, and when you look at the youth of these Trojans, I mean, the youth has certainly played a factor in this season, and combine that with Carson Steele not playing all season now. We'll see if he comes back for this tournament run, and if it does, then this is a entirely different ball club.
Absolutely.
Well, my thing is, if Carson Steele comes back, give the trophy to Center Grove. I think they're going not only winning the section of this game here, they're going to march their way all the way down to Lucas Oil Stadium. My prediction. Solid.
I will
Solid.
say this. One man does not make a team, Darrell.
I tell you what, if he comes back 100%, he hasn't played all year, and he's got anything, there's no way they're going to be able to stop him.
He's got to get back into a rhythm, though. That's the only thing.
I tell you, it's unfair that you're able to add a player to a team that's actually, Center Grove's a good team, but you add a player of that caliber, unstoppable.
Well, the Trojans will take on Columbus East. They're 4-5, taking on the 7-2 Columbus East team. Now, keep in mind, guys, Center Grove has won 8 straight sectionals. They've won 10 out of the last 11 sectionals. The last one they lost was 2010, where they faced Columbus East and lost 27-13. So just keep that in the back of your mind. So we've come to the end here of our MIC Network sectional preview show. We're going to take some last predictions, guys. Who do we think is going to come from the north and the south to meet at Lucas Oil Stadium for what would be the 6A state championship? We'll start with you, Josh.
Oh, man. In the north, I think Carmel is a good pick. I mean, these guys are on a mission. They came up short last year, but they have the pieces to put another state title run together. I mean, they got a lot more quality competition in the north this year. Like I said, you got HSC, you got Fishers, you got Lafayette Jeff, who's a nice sleeper pick over in Sectional 1, but I think the Greyhounds are going to squeak their way out of that. And then, man, oh man, the South, that's a toss-up right there. I will go with the Ben Davis Giants. I'm going to go with Ben Davis. I think they're going to put together a nice run. They play to the strength of their opponents, and they're going to be seeing some really difficult opponents, assuming they come out of that sectional, probably going to run into Avon or Brownsburg, and then whoever is on the other side of that regional. So I think the Giants are going to come out of that South sectional. So Greyhounds, Giants, 6A state title game.
Darrell?
Josh. That's Josh being Josh. I'll tell you what, I like Josh. I do like Carmel up north. I think they're going to squeak by and get there. They will be at Lucas Oil Stadium without a doubt. I still have to go with Center Grove if Carson Steele is available. If not, I hate to agree with Josh, but I'm going to have to go with Ben Davis. I mean, sometimes that vaunted running attack that they have is very successful. It's just going to get colder outside. So Carmel, Ben Davis, if Carson Steele is not available.
Well, there you have it. The Greyhounds, Trojans, the Giants. We'll see coming up this November who will march their way down to Lucas Oil Stadium. But coming up next for you guys will be some more MIC Network coverage, sectional action coming your way right here on the MIC Network.